Even without that, Lou Gehrig's kind of a tough act to follow, but we'll do our best. So I'm Dan, this is my lovely assistant Al, and we'll do the best we can to tell you about Fliptop today. So Fliptop is a social intelligence platform. So we work with brand marketers, sales and support, and agencies to help them connect email addresses that they have in databases or old school CRM to their customers' social identities on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn mostly. So just to show you a little bit about what exactly I mean by that, let's just assume for a second that I had email addresses and detailed contact information for everybody who's at this event. Now I actually don't. I actually just kind of reverse engineered this list by looking at the Eventbrite list online, but let's just pretend that I did. So what I could do is I could take the contact information and upload it to Fliptop. And then our software would go out and use a combination of public web pages, public APIs, and then our own very cool matching algorithms. And basically what we do is we take those email addresses and we connect them to whatever publicly available Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn profiles that we can find. So the end result would look something like this. Now granted, so this is a fake list, but even if we actually had real email addresses, we're not going to find 100% of social matches just because we're only looking at publicly available data sources. So we might not necessarily find Neil with his 88 cloud score. But what we do find, if you click on the top cloud influencers, is Peter Mullen. Are you here? Peter Mullen?
You get a prize.
All right. So Peter Mullen has a fairly high cloud score. So he's got a 48. So if you're Miles and Peter's somebody that you might want to treat to a couple of beers after this because he's an influencer who's interested in SFU tech and he could potentially be one of your brand ambassadors. So that's a very quick bird's eye of what the Fliptop platform does. Since we're here to talk APIs, let's talk a little bit about our API offerings. So we have our own API that we launched about a couple months ago. We also acquired a company called Quirly, based in the UK, a very cool company that already has about 2,000 developers. So all you have to do to use the API is go to our Mashery portal, developer.fliptop.com, and sign up for an API key. And all we ask is that you have a quick conversation with one of our friendly salespeople, and as long as you can convince them that you're not some sort of psycho, they should be able to activate your API key and you should be ready to go. So let me just show you a few examples of implementations that we like that sit on top of the Quirly API. So the first one, obviously we like a lot because we did it ourselves, is a Salesforce App Exchange integration. So this is a simple App Exchange app. All you do is you install it and you punch in your API key. And overnight, we have a batch job that scans all of the leads and contacts in your Salesforce instance and runs Fliptop API queries in batch. So next morning, after you've had a good night's sleep or you've been up all night playing Call of Duty or whatever it is that you do at night, all you have to do is log back into your Salesforce account and you'll see a new section in your leads and contacts pages where we populated custom fields with social data and associated demographic data that we found for your Salesforce leads and contacts. And in addition to that, we also have a few really nice canned reports that we provide with this. So you get some pretty charts and graphs that Al will click through eventually where we show you your social network penetration of your Salesforce instance and then also demographic breakdowns and things like that. So I'll just show you one more API integration, one that actually uses Quirly. So how many people here use MailChimp and have already purchased the Social Pro add-on?
Yeah.
Okay, well I wish our sales guy wasn't the only person who was responding. If you are a MailChimp user, you should really look at this because basically what we've done with MailChimp is we've integrated the Quirly API into MailChimp so that if you do have this Social Pro add-on, all you have to do is to navigate to the contact records in MailChimp and you'll see a social data section that we populate with any public Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn profiles that we've been able to find. We'll put the cloud influence score in there if it's available. And basically, that's pretty much it, and any other demographic information that we've been able to extract. So I have a few other demos teed up, but owing to time, we'll just leave it at that. If you have any questions, just email sales@fliptop.com, go to fliptop.com, or basically just look for the 3 best-looking Asian guys out here on the floor and come talk to us, and we'll tell you more about Fliptop or Quilly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Good stuff. So I'm going to start with a quick question. A lot of folks in this room kind of understand the way the inner workings of the web work, especially social media, and that what you put out there, if you don't have certain privacy settings in place, that you're out there, you're out there, basically. You guys leverage off of that, and that's part of your business model, is that people are publishing things about them on the social web that you're aggregating. Do you think we need to do a better job just as a community to let people know that that's not necessarily the default web, or is it the default web that once you subscribe to a social service or a social network, that if you don't batten down the hatches, you're going to have information usurped from your global profile, as it were, and essentially maybe sold to a third party?
So I think a good rule of thumb is if you're active on social networks and you've never Googled yourself, then that's something that you should do periodically. Because essentially all the data we're pulling is data that you would see yourself if you simply just Googled yourself. I actually just did a test this weekend where I went and changed my Facebook privacy settings and basically reran myself through Fliptop. And all of my data basically disappeared. It was no longer visible to our algorithm. So we're actually very careful about respecting people's privacy settings, and as long as you're aware of the privacy settings that are available to you in various social networks, and you kind of set them where they need to be, like per your comfort level, then you don't really have anything to worry about from a company like us. But yeah, definitely Google yourself, see what's out there.
Hey, I'm Ian. I just have a question, well, 2 parts actually. One, like what percentage of confidence do you have when you match a person to the profile? And second, how are you guys going to differentiate from Rapleaf?
Well, so to the first part of the question, basically, generally it kind of varies. So we've been running data sets for people for about 6 months, and in most data sets that we run, we're generally able to find a matching profile maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 times. Like that seems to be the average. So as far as accuracy, like we've kind of designed our algorithm in order to filter out as many false positives as possible. They're going to be in there just because sometimes people don't put as much information in their public profiles. And if we come across a profile that doesn't really have any contradicting information, then sometimes we consider that a match. So I'm pretty confident in saying that our accuracy rate should be 90% or above for most data sets that we process, but it's going to vary depending on your particular data set, whether it's consumer addresses, whether it's business addresses, the age of the data set, and various factors like that. But in general, yeah, 2 to 3 matches out of every 10 email addresses that we run is a pretty good range. Sometimes we do a lot higher than that, it depends. And accuracy is definitely something that we're constantly working on. And then as far as Rapleaf goes, so Rapleaf is actually no longer really in this business. They don't do social profile matching anymore because they got into a little bit of hot water at the end of last year. So Rapleaf now, basically what the Rapleaf API gives you is more traditional direct marketing data, like demographics and interests and things like that. So in terms of looking for social profiles, right now we're not really competitive with them at all. Well, we're not going to buy data from people. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Like it's public record. That's how they got into trouble. They know that's how they got into trouble. They're in a completely different business now, and that's one path that we're never going to go down. All of the data sources that we pull are public. Basically, we're very careful about being TOS compliant and privacy policy compliant with everything, and we basically, as long as we continue to walk the straight and narrow, we think we'll be okay.
So real quick, I used to work for a company called Comcast that bought another company called Plaxo, which was one of Sean Parker's startups. And they're in a very similar vertical to you guys. Can you talk a little bit about how you compete with them?
Well, you want to tell me a little bit more about the do?
They essentially do kind of the same thing that you guys do. They find social platforms and social media, and they have a lot of CRM integration.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would take my CRM contact list and upload to Blackstone, and they would tell me all the pieces of missing information that are in the profile.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's definitely one that I would want to take a closer look at. I'm
Yeah.
not really that familiar with that particular aspect of Blackstone, but thanks for pointing that out.
We'll do one more question because we are out of time.
What are examples of privacy policies you apply on top of existing ones by, let's say, Facebook or Twitter? You can bypass that. Is there a policy? What are you doing on top of that?
How does Blackstone charge for that?
Well, so all
They
of the
get
data,
acquired
all
by
of the data
Comcast,
sources that
so
we're using
I
to
believe
pull
right
data
now
from
free,
are either
but they have some
public
sort of
web pages.
monetization
So in
engine. I
those
haven't figured out
cases,
what it is yet, though.
we're respecting the license.txt.
Yeah, Comcast.
What we're basically using
If you want to shoot an email, I used to work for them. I
provided
connect
by
with people
different
over.
platforms.
Oh, yeah,
In
definitely.
which case we're using
Thank you.
developer keys,
Shoot
and
me
we're
an email.
basically
I will.
subject to the same
But I set up their,
developer policies and
I
and
set up their
throughout
phone
and
system
rate
for them a few
limiting
years
and,
ago.
and other
After I left Comcast, I did
structural
consulting.
limitations
So long was there, they acquired them, and it was
anybody else
basically
is
like
subject to.
we had all these CRM records
So
that they wanted to
internally,
flush out.
we
They
do
just
a
like
few
one day
things.
all this info. would
So
get
the first thing is we
fun.
never store any email
I don't know if they're
addresses
selling it to
in
other
clear
companies
text.
right now, though.
So basically, everything is encrypted
Yeah, I mean,
before it ever
every
hits
customer
physical
that we've
storage.
talked to,
We never
never
store
mentioned
anything for
Blackstone.
long periods of
It
time.
takes a lot of
So basically,
So
any
check it
data
out,
that transits our
check it out.
infrastructure
I don't know
is
if they're
cached,
selling right now.
just
They
in
might
case
just be
anybody
using
does
it
the same
internally with
lookup.
Comcast.
Okay.
But we
So
only
that
keep
might be
data
different.
for a
But I
short
just wanted
period
to
of
throw
time,
it
a
out
few
there.
weeks,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then we
Thank
throw
you.
it away.
Check it out.
So we don't have a permanent database that's there that contains people's PII. Basically, it's encrypted and it's ephemeral. So that's one of the things that we do to ensure people's privacy is protected.
Right on. Well, we're out of time, but these guys are hanging out.
Thanks,
Two
guys.
good-looking Asian guys in the back of the bar. So if you want to ask some questions, that's where they'll be. So Fliptop, everybody. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, yeah.